Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. The NRA situation just keeps getting worse. I've got a couple videos. I'll make a playlist and put it above, documenting what's been taking place since the NRA show in Indianapolis last month. I was there and watched some stuff unfold. I documented that as well as I could. Others have done as well. But I'm going to be, because it keeps getting worse and it's constantly evolving. For instance, the NRA has launched 2 lawsuits against Ackerman and McQueen. Ackerman and McQueen has filed back Thursday, 2 days ago. And some of the things that they're alleging are eye-opening. So I'm going to kind of do a quick timeline and tell you what happened this week. There were both 2 more lawsuits filed this week. And it just keeps getting worse. The NRA needs, they need to change some things quick, all right? So let's start here. I'll try to make this, each little section brief, just a quick overview, and here we go. So on April 12th, 2019, the NRA filed a lawsuit against its ad agency, the producer of NRA TV, which is Ackerman McQueen. Now, the NRA is alleging that Ackerman McQueen was obliged to provide access to records underlying its bills, but that as of halfway through 2018, some of these requests at the NRA had been rebuffed or ignored totally. Now, this is coming on the back end of, like I told you, the NRA was paying bills with no documentation, being billed by Ackerman McQueen, who was getting $41 million annually from the NRA for advertising. They weren't telling the NRA basically why this bill was submitted, but the NRA uppity-ups like Wayne was saying, just pay it, which violates all kinds of stuff related to nonprofits, because there's a board of directors. The board of directors have to know of any issues like this, and they have to make decisions on whether to proceed or stop, and if they do choose to proceed, they have to document why. Okay, so this was not happening. The board, it's alleged, didn't know any of this was happening. Now, this same lawsuit zeroed in on the NRA president at the time, Oliver North. Ollie North, who at that time he was president of the NRA and an employee of Ackerman McQueen. He was hired by Ackerman McQueen to host an NRA TV show, which was Oliver North's American Heroes, and it was supposed to be a mini-series, didn't evolve to that, and it just got out of control. So overall, this lawsuit says that NRA paid Ackerman McQueen $42.6 million in 2017. It also says that the NRA is required to disclose and approve its top officials' pay, but that neither Oliver North nor Ackerman McQueen would share all the details of their contract. Now, I'm not trying to choose a side on this, because Wayne is way overpaid and some of his dirty laundry gets aired in this process too, but this is where it all started. Okay, so let's fast forward 5 days later to April 17th, 2019, and an article came out in The Trace which details a desperate financial situation and a fractured board of directors within the NRA. Now, shameless plug, these are all things that I was saying at the time, and I was getting killed in the comments by people who were saying, this is just fake news and people are just trying to take down the NRA. It's coming out in lawsuits that it was all basically true, all of it. But we'll keep pressing on here on April 17th. And I'm looking from a list of notes because so much has happened. It's tough to keep it all straight with the dates and all the alleged complaints, okay? So the article came out and it was written in partnership with The New Yorker and exposed more than a decade of financial problems at the NRA, including that the group has run annual deficits as much as $40 million and currently spends less than 10% of its budget on firearms education, safety, or training, which is what the NRA is supposed to be all about. Text documents featured in the article showed a small group of NRA executives, contractors, and vendors received hundreds of millions of dollars from the nonprofit's budget through gratuitous payments, sweetheart deals, and opaque financial agreements. One senior NRA employee went as far as to describe a workplace distinguished by secrecy, self-dealing, and greed. Okay, and I detailed that here on this channel as well. And the article continued that meanwhile, the NRA was in desperate need of funds. It raised its dues for the second time in 2 years and cut costs by eliminating free coffee and water coolers at its headquarters. It also froze employees' pension plans, okay? So things are hitting the fan, right? Word's getting out, employees are worried, so they're doing the whistleblowing type deal. We'll fast forward a couple days to April 21st, 2019. That's when NRA board member Marion Hammer, who the quote is, hadn't attended a board of directors meeting since hell froze over. She said that she was actually going to come to this year's meetings because it was, quote, that bad. So she's a legendary lobbyist for the NRA, and she hadn't been around in a long time, hadn't been seen at the meetings, but she decided things are so bad, I got to get there. Okay, so that says something too. You know, where there's smoke, there's fire. Then we move forward another couple days, April 24th, 2019. That's when the NRA updated a civil lawsuit complaint against Ackerman McQueen, saying that Oliver North, quote, double-dipped by drawing a salary, end quote, from the group and the ad agency at the same time. This is while the NRA show was going on, and it also the complaint also criticized Oliver North's documentary series, claiming that it didn't deliver as many episodes as promised, and that this series did not bring in the, quote, hoped for sponsorship cash, end quote. We kick forward a couple more days, April 26, 2019. The executive vice president and CEO, Wayne Lapierre, accused Oliver North, the president at the time of the NRA, of trying to extort him, and that played out in public's eyes. It was sad to see. But Wayne sent a letter to the board of directors late in the afternoon. He said that Oliver North and Ackerman McQueen were threatening to send a letter to the board that would contain a devastating account of the financial status, sexual harassment charges against a staff member, accusations of wardrobe expenses, and excessive staff travel expenses, which has played out, and we see exactly that they are excessive. Allegedly, North said this would happen unless Lapierre resigned and withdrew the lawsuit against Ackerman McQueen. The very next day, April 27, 2019, Oliver North was forced out on the third day of the annual meetings. The then NRA first vice president, Richard Childress, read Oliver North's letter for everybody, announcing he did not have the support to serve a second term as president and declaring there is a clear crisis within the NRA leadership that needs to be dealt with immediately and responsibly. And Childress has lost that first vice president role as a result. Same day, on the 27th of April 2019, the NRA suspended its top lawyer. Following Oliver North's departure, Steve Hart, who was a longtime lawyer for the NRA Board of Directors, reportedly was suspended. Neither Hart nor the NRA's outside law firm would comment on the suspension, which usually tells you that it's pretty much true. Again, same day, April 27, 2019, you can see this was a really interesting time to go to the meetings. This is my first time out there, too. The same day, the 27th of April, New York Attorney General opens an investigation into the NRA's tax-exempt status. Remember, I did a video on that and how how Bloomberg was also asking the IRS to look into the nonprofit status and violations alleged against the NRA. So this is now the AG, and I told you in the video the Attorney General has the ultimate oversight of the NRA because they're chartered in New York. But the New York AG's office launched an investigation into the NRA's tax-exempt status and has since issued subpoenas. The organization has reportedly received document preservation notice from the government, so the NRA got this, which basically says you can't trash anything, we want it all. And the outside lawyer for the NRA said that the group, quote, will fully cooperate with any inquiry into its finances, end quote. Now, 2 days go by. We're now at April 29th, 2019. The NRA elects a brand new president, and that was Carolyn Meadows, who succeeds Oliver North as president of the NRA. Meadows has garnered a little kickback as well from some groups because Meadows, who sits on the NRA board of directors, and at the time was serving as the group's second vice president, she also was listed by Stone Mountain Memorial Association as a chairperson of its board of directors, and that association maintains the largest memorial to the Confederacy in the U.S. Okay, and you know how the crazy, feelings people have come out against anything related to, Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee and all the memorials being taken down, blah, 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 blah. So that brought us up to May, okay? And May has been interesting. So these next couple dates, things happen in rapid succession, and sometimes the court papers or court filings, they don't get published until the next day, so these might be off by a day or so. So that brought us to this week, Wednesday, May 22nd, 2019. The NRA filed a second lawsuit against Ackerman McQueen. This time, they're saying, look, you leaked information to the media. You tried to organize a coup against our CEO using your employee, who was also our president, Oliver North. And we're required to have detailed billing, and we're suing you for $40 million. Give us this information. That brings us to the very next day, which was Thursday, May 23rd, just 2.5 days ago. Today's Saturday morning. Ackerman McQueen is having their turn now. They have launched a counterclaim for $50 million. Now, I do have a copy of that counterclaim, albeit slightly redacted. And I'll have a link in the description if you want to read it. It's redacted because the information that's blacked out, they're saying, is confidential. So take it for what it is. But a copy is down below for you to read. But Ackerman McQueen is saying, and I have some quotes here that kind of let you know what this has evolved to. Ackerman McQueen is saying, we've already given the NRA sufficient access to financial information regarding our work, including sharing recent data and analytics for NRA TV, and letting auditors spend 9 days going through their books in February. It also says Ackerman McQueen has complied with every authorized demand for examination of their documents. And that's obviously Ackerman McQueen's lawyer speaking. In a following statement, an NRA attorney, an outside attorney for the NRA, whose name is William A. Brewer III, you're going to hear his name again, so remember that. He says that this lawsuit, the counterclaim by Ackerman McQueen, is, quote, without merit and misguided. It's a misguided attempt to deflect attention from Ackerman McQueen's numerous failures to comply with its obligations. It also says Ackerman's claims against the NRA emerged after and only after the NRA sought to compel the agency via the lawsuit filed the previous day in their attempt to compel the agency to provide documents and billing records relating to its services. He also added the NRA makes no apologies for holding Ackerman McQueen and all of its vendors to a high standard in the interest of its mission and the members it serves. The NRA remains undeterred in its efforts to follow best practices and hold vendors accountable, no exceptions. Now, Ackerman McQueen's counterclaim blames the NRA for the coup against Oliver North. See, NRA is blaming Ackerman McQueen for the coup against Wayne, and Ackerman McQueen's blaming NRA for the coup against Ollie North. So they're fighting right now, okay? It's like a relationship that's gone awry. Now, Ackerman McQueen's countersuit says that NRA's outside counsel, Bill Brewer, has provided misleading information to the New York Times about Oliver North's work with the firm. The article misrepresented the facts and disparaged Ackerman McQueen, noting that the story quoted Brewer and alleged that he misled the paper to hurt the firm's relationship with the NRA. Ackerman McQueen also alleges that the NRA's legal actions against them are just an excuse to terminate their contract for cause and get out of paying, quote, a very substantial amount of money in the form of severance and cancellation fees. That could be the root to all of the NRA's actions, wouldn't you think? If they knew they had to pay out the wazoo to get out of this caustic relationship. Sounds plausible, right? Now you'll see if you read that the rest of that sentence is redacted. Obviously, that's confidential, contractual information that they don't want out. Now the counterclaim, I'm not sure if I said it, came the day after the NRA sued Ackerman McQueen for $40 million. The counterclaim is for $50 million, so it's a little one-upmanship. Now, an Ackerman McQueen spokesperson had this to say, quote, "It's a sad day for NRA members that their leadership is more focused on attacking partners than fighting for freedom. Once again, the National Rifle Association's leadership's new lawsuit is another reckless attempt to scapegoat Ackerman McQueen for the NRA's own breakdown in governance, compliance, and leadership. We have done our job to protect the brand for decades and have continued to do so despite shameless and inaccurate attacks on our integrity and our personnel by a leadership group that is desperate to make this a story about anything other than their own failures. Now, I did a video about Lapierre's wardrobe billing that came into question. At the time, it was $250,000 for wardrobe and some travel expenses to Budapest and some lodging. And it came out that he had a summertime intern, and people were questioning that. But it turns out that now, based off these court documents, that Wayne Lapierre billed Ackerman McQueen over $500,000 for clothes, travel, and other expenses. Over $500,000. Wayne saying that this bill was based on Ackerman McQueen's advice, and it was over 15 years. But they're saying no, it's not. So that brings us to the newest claim. And this is the most interesting thing. We've got a little tit for tat going on, a little espionage, looks like. The NRA is claiming now that Ackerman McQueen stole a confidential PowerPoint which was on a thumb drive. Okay, this presentation detailed the NRA's courtroom strategy that it was pursuing in the lawsuit against Ackerman McQueen. Attorney Brewer, remember I said you'd hear his name again, he's the outside attorney for the NRA, he handed an employee this thumb drive with this confidential PowerPoint that they were about to show members of the NRA leadership. Okay, he gives this thumb drive to an audio-visual guy, and coincidentally, the AV, all that stuff, audio-visual and marketing and all that stuff, even inside of the NRA, is handled by Ackerman McQueen. So he gives this confidential information to an AV guy who may or may not work for this company that they're looking to document the lawsuit about, right? And he gives it to them to load into the laptop so they can display, because they're going to do a presentation. They're going to have a meeting about this. Well, later on, Brewer realizes that laptop is no longer in the room, so he calls and speaks with an Ackerman person who says, "We deleted that PowerPoint." No, they did not. And it turns out that this AV guy stole a copy of the presentation, allegedly. Now, the NRA realized this after the fact, that the Ackerman McQueen lawyers notified the NRA lawyers, so their lawyers are contacting the NRA lawyers, that they had 2 thumb drives with this PowerPoint presentation on it. So not only did it disappear, it's like now they made a copy of it, at least one copy, right? Because now they have 2 when they took one. And that they're saying no one reviewed it because it appeared to be confidential. Yeah, right. Well, that's bullshit. I don't believe that. They are then offered to destroy or deliver those items back to the NRA, and they did this. These lawyers reached out because Virginia has an ethical guideline, whereas if something for a lawsuit is mismailed or misdelivered to the opposite side, they're supposed to notify each other. I don't know how often that happens, but I guess it did here. So the NRA responded and filed an emergency motion seeking to halt the lawsuit until they could get to the bottom of how its legal strategy ended up in the hands of the people that they're suing, Ackerman McQueen. That's where we stand. It's Saturday, May 25th. It is Memorial Day weekend, and the NRA is imploding upon itself. It is getting worse by the day, and just when you thought you saw the worst of it, when the lawsuit was filed, it just keeps getting worse. What do you think should be done, could be done, should have been done? It appears as though, at least, outside looking in, it appears as though that everything that was coming out during the meetings that I tried to bring to the channel, looks like it was all spot on. Looks like it was all true. All the internal dirt, the dirty laundry, looks like it was true. And as these lawsuits continue, we'll find out more. So I just wanted to bring this to your information because some of us out here are NRA members. I bought a life membership years ago. I do not want to see the NRA abolished. I do not think that would be best for us going forward. I would love to see them fix themselves. Although now with all this stuff coming out, I don't know if it's possible. Why don't I want to see them gone? A lot of people ask me, why don't you want to see the NRA gone? Because they're seen as the kingpin, the number one. And if they're taken out, Bloomberg, Pelosi, Hillary, AOC, Bernie, you will see an onslaught like never before if they get that false bravado that they took down the biggest bear in the forest. Ultimately, we need that presence. They're huge. We need their presence. We need them to do the right thing. They have strayed long time ago from doing what they're supposed to be doing. They need to get back to it. I believe they need to cut the head off the serpent and fix it from there, from the top down. But they had their chance at the meeting. They didn't do it. So we'll see what happens between now and the next meeting, which is in Nashville, Tennessee next year. I'd love to hear your point of view in the comments down below. And I do try to read them all, especially this one. So thank you all for your time. I hope you have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend. Please pass us along. And until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.